Start.
Okay. What else?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the beautiful city of Fribourg, and we are very excited that you all are here. My name is Ayman Al-Tarabishi. I am the president and CEO of ICSB, but I'm also a deputy chair of the Department of Management at George Washington University. So this is an academic institution. It's a beautiful academic institution. I'm a professor at heart, so I feel more home here than yesterday at the ILO at the United Nations. Right? So this is my home court here. But I am honored to be here, and I'm honored that you all are here from all over the world. We're going to have an amazing session. We have given you red bags with stuff with a lot of exciting books and interesting articles. So I highly recommend you look through them and see what's there. And today we have a full agenda, full session. It's going to be a long day with a lot of amazing speakers here. But let's get started. And what I'd like to do now is introduce my partner and the Dean of HEG, Dr. Rico Baldegger. Let's give him a big round of applause.
Thank you, Ayman. Thank you, ICSB, for, let's say, coming to Fribourg. You know, it's really an honor to have you here. Really, thank you even for yesterday to submission of Argentina. It's really great, you know, supporting it, not only yesterday, even today. Thank you, Mr. Martin. To submission of Korea, clearly it's important for us, you know, to have you here, you know, to show a little bit even Fribourg on a global perspective. It's quite important. Bienvenue à tous. Guten Morgen an alle. I will not now do it in German or French or German, let's say, first language here, Saint-Chinois. It will be too complicated. But it's clearly an important part for you to know. Let's say Fribourg here, it's a bilingual city. You know, it's a border of the languages, French and German. And here you are in a trilingual institution. So we have here in our, let's say, program here, you can start here in German, in French, bilingual, in 3 languages. So clearly the language is important topic here in Fribourg, in the multicultural competences. And I always say, hey, Fribourg is a, we can say, test market, even to get intercultural competences. Why not even for international career? And why it's even important, you know, Fribourg is so an old city, you know, created for some friends, you know, from different countries, 1157. So more than 850 years. So we found here in the city a lot of history, really, a lot of fountains, churches. So let's really, history is important. And that's even, let's say, from let's say we can say from a school perspective important. Why? I think it's we have to teach the students, even our faculty, not only to teach, even let's say as a testimonial on the behavior science part. I think it's content is less important. That we know latest now we know it after artificial intelligence, AI. So more the behavior part, and that is really the school here stand for. When you're going through, let's say, building, you will see some quotes. What is even, let's say, important for us? I think it's quite important to have this kind of quotes. Yes, and hope you will enjoy the whole day. What we're in from an organization perspective, if you're hearing ring a bell, you know, it will be our young guy here will be Faber, he will ring the bell, then you have to come to the session. You know, so it's clear. Let's say it's clearly a bell is even important here, not only for the cows, but even for the logistic perspective in this way. Yeah, good. I think it's that was my first part in, and I'd like to hand it over to Ayman. Thank you for all, Ayman.
Thank you. Thank you very much. What we like, I use the microphone here. And what we like to do at ICSB is we have some protocols here to be observed. So what we'd like to do is first ask our guests from around the world that came all the way here, especially from Argentina and also from Korea, to just give welcome remarks. So first we start with Ambassador Martin. If you can come up here and just welcome everybody, that would be fantastic.
Well, thank you, Rico. Thank you, Eamon, for the invitation, and thank all of you for coming. It's really awesome to be here in Fribourg. It's a beautiful place and a beautiful country like Swiss. So I'm very happy to address all of you, and in this morning have these panels where we are going to discuss several issues and very important ones. So we are celebrating the seventh anniversary of the International MSC's Day. So we're very happy to celebrate it here in Switzerland. As I said, thank you, Eamon, and thank you all of you for your solidarity and your work together in the next all day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And the opening ceremony is titled A Gateway to the Future and to the World. So we went from Argentina. Now we're going to go all around the world to introduce our next international guest here, very important friend, and also part of a beautiful, beautiful country and city, the mayor of Geneve City. So Joe, if you could come here up here.
Good morning. My name is Jo Kyu-il, Mayor of Jeonju from South Korea. And thank you everything for this forum, and to Ayman and Rico. Thank you. And I stayed last night very good. It's a very good hotel in this city. I found that this city is very, very beautiful, and all the city. And it makes me very happy. And everything starts from the 2019, and I made a connection with Dr. Tarabishi 2019, and he visited Jeonju one time, and he find that Jeonju is the place of the entrepreneurship. And okay, thank you. Yesterday I made some presentation about our city concerning the entrepreneurship city, and today also I will give a presentation which is a little bit longer than that of yesterday. And if you are very interested in this subject, you will be with me among the 10th of the session, right? Which is continued separate but apparently, and I will be with you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, thank you. As I mentioned, we are a global family here. So if you hear from me, I can tell you that some people come up to me and say the hotel is perfect because there's no air conditioning and I can sleep well at night. And then when some people say, how is there no air conditioning in the hotel? Right? Or I would say in my household, anything below 70 degrees is good. But if you ask someone else in the household, you say anything above 75 degrees is good. So it just depends on who you ask. Right? But here we are at the forefront of global knowledge. And I want to now start the first plenary sessions. And I'm delighted to hand it over to Rico to do the welcome. And we start on time. Rico.
Thank you, Eamon. About the air conditioning. That is our sustainability aspect. We have to take it positive. Yes, you saw the program. In the morning, we have some plenary session, until 10:30, and then is a break. And after the break, is starting the first parallel session. We did it this way. And at the same time, we'll be in the afternoon. At 1 p.m. first a plenary session, and then 2 parallel sessions. And we'll finish at the end with here in a plenary session by a keynote. That is more overview of the program. but let's say I like to be on time. And I like to announce, let's say, after the first speaker, the name was here, Navigating the Future with Empowering Leadership and Sustainability. And
Gerhard André is a Swiss entrepreneur and politician who currently serves as a member of the Swiss National Council for the canton of Fribourg. In 2007, he co-founded Leap AG, an advertisement agency, along with 3 other members. The agency offers innovative and local solutions and establishes genuine partnerships in which it provides very high-quality products.
yeah, Gerhard, the floor is yours. And coming on the stage, I'd like to add some topics about Gerhard. He's not only an entrepreneur, he's even, let's say, in the Swiss Parliament, so he's wearing 2 hats. And I think it's quite important, even, let's say, for us, you know, this kind of double casquette, I would say in French. And let's say Gerhard, let's say, developed a quite interesting part in relation to holacracy in the last year with the company. And it's really good testimony always, let's say, for our students, you know, for young people. Yeah, Gerhard.
Thank you so much, Rico, for having me here. Hello, welcome here to nice Fribourg. I'm pleased that you like this place. We ourselves also like to live here. Rico, I have to say a few words today about the day we're gonna be living through together, because it's quite a while we worked together, Rico and I. When we founded the company, my co-founding colleague, Nadia Perula, he did her studies here. Rico was the teacher, was the coach, was the professor of my colleague. So HEG is somehow built in our company, and over the years, over the 15, even more years in the past, we worked a lot together. We did a lot together in salary contexts, in sustainability, in leadership, in self-organization. So I'm so pleased to be here today and that you have invited me. The other day we were invited as stakeholders for an audition here at the HEG. I was invited to give my opinion on the school, and the auditors at some point they said, after having listened to us, but everyone seems to love Rico. Yes, we do. We love you, Rico. Thank you so much for what you have contributed to people, to this great school. Really much appreciated your contribution to whatever you have done over the years. It really made Fribourg a tick better than it was before. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. So now I'm gonna have the pleasure to talk to you about the economy for the people. What's that? Question mark. Who am I to say that the economy wouldn't be for the people? I mean, if we look at the rear mirror, it was just amazing what happened over the past 100, 150 years. I mean, it was basically an economic miracle. And it's proven. You can read a great book that was, for me personally, really inspiring, Factfulness. It's a book written by Hans Rosling. He doesn't live anymore. He passed away a few years back. And he did a great amount of work on what actually happened over the past decades. And so many things improved. Our system, our society, our economy was able to give more access to clean water, to electricity, to education, to more equality. So many things improved over the past decades. And I think that's something that me personally motivates, because apparently we are capable of huge things as a society, as an economy, and especially as small and medium-sized enterprises, because these are the economy at the end of the day. But there's a downside. We have a battered plan. I don't want to be too demotivating today. It's frustrating, you know it. Might there soon be more plastic in the sea than fish? some projections anticipate that and could happen. I mean, you may know this continent in the Pacific Ocean of the size of France, just plastic. This issue is huge. Plastic is everywhere, not only in big parts, but in microplastic, it's everywhere. We have an issue. We have an issue with forests. Still, forests are cut down. We still lose a lot of surface in forests. It continues. Deforestation is an issue and keeps being. And we have another one, and really, this one hurts me a lot personally, because it's really, we can see that like quite massively in our today's life. It's some sort of the sixth mass extinction of species. When I was a youngster on my bike and I opened the mouth, that was quite dangerous because you had a lot of insects. Today, there's no risk. You won't have insects in your mouth because there aren't any. In Europe, especially in Switzerland, we have lost about 60 to 70 to even 80% of insect biomass. It's huge. This problem is huge. And that's going to be a big issue for our society, because if you don't have this biomass, this biosphere, this ecosystem that provides a lot of services to us as a society, to us as people, we're going to have a big issue. And what does that mean for us? What does that mean for us, the people on this planet, on this earth? I mean, we're going to lose land. We do lose land right now. We're going to have issues harvesting crops. It's going to be harder through climate change, through erosion, through more chaotic weather situations. There's going to be migration, or already is. We're going to have armed conflicts. We already have armed conflicts around these big changes, and there's basically danger to life and limb. So it's massive, the problems. You know them. I don't want to go any further here, because I don't want to frustrate you too much, but it's the facts. It's no whatever fantasy. It's what we live through right now. So the question is, how did we get here? I mean, what happened? As said, we did so many great things, but we somehow did a lot of damage to nature, to the planet. I think one reason, I'm gonna give you a few. Of course, these are not the only ones, but one that I think is particularly interesting is a lack of knowledge, but also ignorance. Here you can see an article that was back in 1912, some scientific paper. Scientists anticipated if we're going to continue burning coal, or if we do that on a big scale, we're going to have an issue at some point with the atmosphere, because it's just simply going to heat up. The effect is quite basic. It's not that hard to understand. It was there for a while, so people knew that there might be an issue. But then was ignorance, or you could call it differently. You could just, you had other priorities. I mean, in our region where we grew up in the German part of this canton, that was a really poor region 100 years back. People have other issues that to tackle these kind of big problems that somewhere in the future might be an issue. They had to eat, they had to do things, they had to just live through the day, because it was harsh, it was tough. So people chose options that basically made them live through the day. And there's one particular example I find interesting. In Switzerland, we have a law that is quite strict that protects forests. In Switzerland, since 100 years, the surface of the forest can't get smaller. By law, we protected the forest. That was a good thing, because 100 years back, people understood we have to protect the forest because they protect the valleys, they protect other things. They're important as a factor. But why could Switzerland do that? There was coal coming from Germany. So you wouldn't need to burn wood anymore because there was coal. So you see, yes, people might have fixed some things, but produced the next bigger issue. So not knowing the effects, or knowing the effects, but not just not having an option, because at the end of the day, there was also just the question at the end of the day of survival. And there's another big thing. It's the tragedy of the commons. I mean, that we know for a while, for decades now. I mean, yes, it's great that companies could do stuff, could transform materials, could use resources in order to produce products, services. But for that, there was a need for air, for soil, for water. And this basically had no price. And when something has no price, you don't have to build that in your pricing of your product, that basically some sort of, you subsidize these kinds of productions and services through the taxpayers or future generations, as we can see now. So the tragedy of the commons is a big, big issue, because you can't still produce stuff without being responsible for the consequences. That's a thing we have around for quite a while. On a political level, it's quite hard to change that. I think it's going to now slowly move towards a good direction. And there's another thing. I mean, it became so big, and the dependencies for whole sectors became so important that monopolies, of course, used their power to somehow protect status quo. I mean, the tobacco industry did that very well. That is basically the playbook how to avoid regulation, knowing that your product is really a problem. I mean, the tobacco industry knew that for a long time, but used its power, its huge economic power, to influence policy in order to avoid regulation. Oil industry basically did the same. The oil industry for decades knew the problem, the issues with combustion of fossil fuels, but tried to influence policy, tried to influence the general public in order to avoid regulation. So these are just a few factors that led us to where we are right now. So how do we get out of this? How do we fix this? Because we have to fix this in order to have a viable future, in order to have a planet that is for our kids, for their kids, a place to live, a place to strive. We have to fix a few things. And I propose to you 3 upgrades for the economy. You can read them as economic upgrades, as political upgrades, as societal upgrades. It's all a bit built in. And I'm going to start with the first one. I call it collaboration 2.0. What do I mean with that? I mean, it's basically, it's the best image. I don't really know why that doesn't switch there, but then you still know what I try to tell you. So there's this swarm, great image, of course, to show what effective, what interesting collaboration could look like. It's this decentralized swarm intelligence that is so powerful, because it's resilient without having the need of some hierarchy of people telling others what to do, where to go, but it's the swarm that actually does that by itself. And there's a big movement around this swarm intelligence that becomes more and more important, and I think it's a good basis for tackling the future as a society. And of course, you all know Wikipedia. I mean, it's one of the most societal leap we have done as a civilization, being able to provide to everyone on the planet with access to internet, to a great encyclopedia with content that is just amazing. It's so powerful, it's so deep, it's so vast, but it is open. It is open source. It is done completely differently than we know it from traditional economic systems, from traditional economic, let's say, business models, because it's open, it's collaborative, it's decentralized, it's like, of course, also open source software. And open source software, yet another huge leap for society. Linux is the most important software in the world. I guess that you could say that. Linux is an operating system. It's running on this device. It's running on most of the smartphones of the world. It runs basically the internet. And Linux has been created over decades, completely decentralized. There's no one owning Linux. That doesn't exist. You can't own Linux. It's everyone's software. Everyone can use it, can extend it, can contribute to it, can adapt it. And that's huge. It's a win-win business model. So you compete maybe with others using that also use Linux. You extend it for your needs, yes, but others can profit what you have just added, and you make the whole thing just faster, better, in a more collaborative, in a more transparent way, in a way more accessible way for actually the planet, basically everyone. There's open manufacturing. That's yet another aspect to that open movement to give access here to the mean of production. So basically to produce things sooner or later, we're still not there yet. The revolution just did not really push through yet, but it's some sort of democratization of the fabric of industry. So like we got PCs on our desks after having had them before as big mainframe computers, the same thing can and will happen with manufacturing. And here it's again the same thing. It's open to everyone. You can extend it the way you want to. You can contribute it, and there's no one owning this kind of technology. What you can do with that, it's just a picture I found to illustrate what that actually means. I mean, if you give access to open knowledge, how do things work? To models, how does this prosthesis work? What should it look like in order to be functional? And you give access even to the printer that is itself open hardware. It's itself just around there. You can produce really amazing things in really decentralized regions without having the need of big intermediaries, of big gatekeepers. All that movement led to our company, completely decentralized organization. We are a self-organized company with about 230 employees all over Switzerland, and we adopted this kind of collaboration. It's a completely decentralized organization. There is no need anymore of the boss or of the hierarchy. It doesn't work this way anymore. I won't go too much into detail, but for me personally, that was a great journey over the maybe past 10 to 15 years when we tackled this and when we became fully holacratic. It's such an empowering system where you are, again, in some sort of win-win situation when you decentralize authority, when you give access to participation, and when you use transparency, when you use the access to power that lays around there also within a company. I think that's really important, and it helps us to be more adaptive, to be more resilient, to be more anti-fragile, to tackle the things that happen out there. And as you know, out there it is quite chaotic and it might become even more chaotic. So we need ways to work together that are maybe different, and we learned them over the past, and we have a huge important tool, and it's internet. Without internet, any of these things would have been possible. So collaboration 2.0, a big upgrade for economy, getting into win-win models and not win-lose models. It's way more effective for all of us and more fun. Second upgrade, circular economy. You all know circular economy. I don't want to go too much into the detail of what it is, but I'd like to pick out a few examples I really like. So before talking materials and transformation and stuff, I mean, the most important thing, and sometimes I think we forget that, it's about keep it simple, keep it short, keep it close, keep it lightweight. That's usually the most effective thing. Not using too much material, not going too far, trying to deal with the stuff you have before what you have as a resource, what you can do close by. And the bicycle for me is just a great metaphor for effectiveness, for efficiency, because there's no other tool that translates human muscle into distance or altitude. There's no other tool. So for me, the bicycle is such a good metaphor for what we actually need. We need the minimum amount of resources, of energy to accomplish the maximum of output. That would be effective. Not just efficient, not a big machine that does something efficiently, but if the machine is too big, that's not effective, it's just efficient. So there's a difference, and in a circular economy in general, we have to always think of solutions that are close by, that don't provoke a lot of logistics all over the planet, that doesn't need a lot of material and energy. Simple solutions that work closely. And we have, of course, for these kinds of things, tools like the internet, like the stuff I've just shown before. We have knowledge how to make good solutions that are actually not that need so much consumption of resources and energy. Of course, renewable energy, that's a bit of a no-brainer. I don't want to stop here too long. So of course we need to get out of combustion of oil, of coal, of all these non-renewable energies. This transformation is happening right now. I think we're gonna get some speed now, and I'm quite optimistic that we are gonna be now a bit faster than I thought maybe 1 or 2 years ago. What we need are designs where actually we don't try to find ways around nature. Over the past decades, we tried to avoid nature as much. We tried to put it away. We made rivers completely straight with a lot of concrete, and we tried to just put it away, and we did our own stuff. I think we need to get out of this logic. We need to build it in. I mean, air conditioning with trees, with plants, is so much more beautiful and so less demanding in electricity, in steel, in plastics. When we use nature as part of the solution, we avoid other problems and generate new resources as an ecosystem, because nature always provides us with so many things. Here, as a good example, in Milano, this building, I don't know the details, but I think it's a great symbol to show that we need to build in nature. We need designs where nature actually maybe even plays one of the central role in the design. And of course, there's the reuse. That's a great example here in Fribourg. It's a cooperative of about 50 agricultures that put themselves together with organic food. So it's all organic products in this mini supermarket. And when the architects designed this store, they reused everything. So what you can see here, it's all stuff that has been used elsewhere. And I think it's not only from a circular economy perspective, of course, the thing we have to do, but I think it's also something from a authenticity, from a character perspective, so much more interesting than just always the new stuff, the new stuff that has no history, that has no, it's just new. It's, yeah, nice, but there's no story behind. And I like designs where you have a life that was already there with some material. So when you see this kind of stores, I think it's really an interesting way to design architecture by the limitation, where when you have this limitation of not doing it the completely new fabric, new way. I think that's something we should look at more, because there's more value in these kinds of designs. And of course, there's the repair. So when we can't reuse, at some point we have to repair. That's an image of my smartphone. It's a Fairphone. It's built to be repaired. So every piece I can really get it out and replace it the moment it doesn't work anymore. So that's a good design. Products that are there to be repaired, that's another thing that even get better over time. I don't know if you know this, is someone here from Japan? No, there isn't. So I don't really know very well this this philosophy, but there's an intriguing message built in. So it's kintsugi, this philosophy, this Japanese philosophy that tries to put forward the fact that things might have some flaws, that a broken thing is not a bad thing. So kintsugi puts forward the small imperfections, and this vase here, as you can see, is a broken vase, but the repaired version of it is more valuable. It becomes more valuable because you have these golden glues that you put the thing back together, and you put forward the imperfection. And that's, for me, authentic, that's valuable, that's interesting. I think we need products that we don't want to replace as soon as possible, but we want to live with. They become part, maybe even of our own existence, of our own biography. So products that get better over time, that I don't want to replace, I want to let them grow, to evolve. This is a nice metaphor. I really like this Japanese philosophy. And the moment, of course, we can't reuse it, repair it anymore, etc., we need to do recycling. We're still quite bad at it. In Switzerland, as an example, only about 11-12% of plastics is recycled. All the rest is burned. So we're pretty bad still at that. Others are quite good. We're good with aluminium, but electronics is quite good in Switzerland as well. But all over the planet, it is an issue. You have to get better because nothing is waste. Everything is resource, but we need the processes, the logistics for that. So that would have been the second upgrade. We need to think in cycles. We need to do better designs in order to be capable to repair things, to make things better, and not just throw away in some linear economy where you actually only at the end of the day use landfills for whatever you have done before. The third, oops, it's not the third, that would be RD, sorry for that title, impact accounting. And there have to step back a bit. And we all know financial accounting. We use that every day, consciously or unconsciously. That's something that was quite an interesting evolution, an interesting feature for society, for economy. And it took a while. That's yet another symbolic picture. It took a while to become this, that you can basically ship products all over the world. You can compare prices. You can even buy and sell companies. So it's quite complex, but it's calibrated all over the planet. There was a big synchronization that happened over the past decades. And that's something that's really powerful. We all know that. But we need to get a bit further. And there, getting back to the problem of the tragedy of the commons, because the commons, so what's air worth? What's a good society worth? How do we deal with poor people? How do we tackle other things than just financial numbers? And here I have to quickly explain what we are doing in our company. So we are a software development company. We do products for usually Swiss companies, mostly bigger ones. And we try to tackle this question of what do our products we build together with our clients, what do they do? What is their impact? Of course, we know the financials of it, that's an easy bit, but what do they do? And we started to address this with a known metric. You can see what our purpose is. We want to create long-lasting social, environmental, and economic value. It's basically the three pillars of sustainable development, and through digital human progress. But what does that mean? How do we create long-lasting value? How do we measure that? And we started a few years back working with the SDGs. Of course, you all know the Sustainable Development Goals of the UN. And we started to build with experts, with external experts, to build our own accounting system for impact. So we basically take every project we work on with our clients, and we try to figure out what's the impact of it, what's the handprint of it, what does it out there in the world to people, to planet, to evolution of our civilization. And that's a thing that really now is getting up some speed. So we do that now for about 3 or 4 years, something like that. We started with that accounting system, and here you can see it's cut up, but you can see the 17 goals. So that would be number 1, the last would be number 17. And this is basically our internal impact metric. What do our digital products do out there when we try to measure it with the SDGs? With that, we actually get some ground, we get some basis to be capable to say, do we actually contribute to a better world, even though it might sound cheesy, that it is the ambition we have. We want to contribute with our company to improvement, to progress, but we don't want to destroy things. But you can also see that we are also red. So we didn't sum up the bars. So we show all the negative and all the positive. If you would sum it up, it would basically almost everywhere be green. A part of this one, and that's a bad one. That's biodiversity, I guess. I think it's cut. It's not 17. That's life on land, and that shows that biodiversity is not as an issue building at all right now in the economy. And we try to make that visible for us. We try to figure out where we want to contribute, where we want to improve, to get better at the end of the day. So I'm going to repeat. I propose to you 3 upgrades for society, for the economy, through another collaboration to get better, faster solutions by working in win-win situations and not win-lose. Nothing is waste. Everything is a resource and eternally transformed in cycles. And impact accounting is just as important as financial accounting. At some point it should even be the same thing. We have to have something that is actually capable of showing us that it doesn't destroy the world. That's the ambition. So that would be my proposal for an upgraded economy for the people. The power of the economy is huge. SMEs are so important. We need them to build this kind of future. And that's what I try with our company. I hope you do as well. And that will be it. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Gerhard, for this, we can say, thoughts on one hand, sustainability in decentralized decision. I have only one question, I have here one for seeing the time, do you think countries with a decentralized system are better prepared for the future in relation to sustainability?
These are almost 2 questions. The first one, yes, decentralized systems are usually better. That's what I learned over the years. And I must say, I'm quite happy with our system here in Switzerland because it's quite decentralized and it's not so hierarchical like it is in other countries. I mean, our government, I don't know if you know how this works, but we don't have this pyramid where you have coalitions, but we have a government where the most important parties, even though they might completely in opposition, they are all in government. So it's an inclusive, decentralized system, and I think that's basically always better than the one that is not so resilient, where you have too much power or too few heads. Then in the question of sustainability, I mean, the problem Switzerland has, and I'm getting a bit political, I mean, we're doing so great that we sometimes fear change. And that makes us a bit lazy, a bit slow, because we fear losing things. Because when we look around the world, it's harsh, and that makes us a bit immobile. Even though we would have the good system, we have a luxury problem.
Thank you. Thank you for your speech. Now I'd like to hand over to Eamon. Please stay on stage.
Great, thank you very much. I met Mr. Gerhard a couple of years ago, and what struck me, if you listen to his presentation, is in the US, if you're a politician, you just talk politics for the most part. And if you're a business person, you talk business, but then you go to the bar and talk politics. Right? And if in Italy, you talk politics all the time. Right? And if you're in the Middle East, you talk politics and you complain about everybody in the politics arena. What I found interesting here is his mindset that shifts from business to politics to the economy and back and forth. It is like talking to three people at once. Right? And I told Rico, I said, Rico, I've not seen this before. This is unique. And maybe it's unique to Switzerland, that the way they approach it together as one big ecosystem, that the interplay and the transparency of all three. He even mentioned here, he goes, I'm switching to politics right now, but yet he was talking to business. For us, when we notice things like this, we notice excellence in it. So what I'd like to talk about now is this award that we've created almost 10 years ago for ICSP. It's called the Global Excellence Award. What it represents is it represents individuals, organizations, or systems that have exhibited global excellence that we have not seen before. And why do we signal it? And why do we mention it? Is because we want to tell other individuals, other groups, this is a person that you should reach out to. This is a person that you should talk to. You know, it depends on what part of the world you're in. If it's in the US, you only talk in one place in one language, but in the bar you can go and say, okay, what's going on with the elections? But here's an individual as a global leader and a global excellence leader. So with that, I would like the chair of ICSB, Kishan Kim, to come up here. And Rico, we are awarding Gerhard with I'm going to take this with the Global Excellence Award. So
what a surprise. Thank you so much.
yes.
Okay, we're going to our next session. So we put the title To the Edge of Space. We can even say, I have here a friend, once he told me the sky is not the limit. On one hand, so clearly it must even be a little bit looking into the future. And they will be divided in two parts, this session. First, we have an intro keynote speech. Then we have a roundtable discussion with three people. It will be Raphael Damcha will keynote, then Christian Fischer and Massimo Marian will be for the roundtable discussion. So we can, let's say, discuss a little bit about on the topic, you know, and yeah, it's you.
Raphael Damjan is a Swiss explorer and the first to circumnavigate the planet aboard the full electric boat MS Planet Solar. In 2014, he teamed up with an international crew to launch the Solar Stratos mission with the aim of reaching the stratosphere in a solar-powered aircraft.
Yeah, Raphael. What is it, let's say, interesting to know? Raphael is the president of Planet Solar Foundation, and clearly to promote electric mobility. I think we heard it just even a little bit before. It seems to be important. So clearly, Raphael, the floor is yours. Thank you for being here.
We burn every second 300 tons of fossil energies. Can you imagine this? 300 tons every second. 300, 300, 300. So this is a big effect of one thing. It is our atmosphere. We are just putting every year about 40 gigaton of greenhouse gas. And this is changing the containing of the content. This is really my commitment. My commitment is to protect our climate, because if we cannot protect our atmosphere, all the fight that we are doing, the other fight that we are doing will not be useful. So this is really my goal, it's to protect our atmosphere. And we are very lucky. We are just at the good distance of our star, the sun, that is providing a lot of energy to us. And this, maybe you know this study from Göteborg in 2012, can see that what we get, because this is important, if we want to stop to burn these fossil energies, we just have to check one thing before. Can we do it? Do we have enough renewable energies or not? And this you can see on these pictures that we have quite a lot. We have wind energies, about 2 terawatts, 2 to 4 terawatts, geothermal energy, 12 terawatts. But look at the solar energy. We have 600 terawatts that we can get, 24 by 24 hours. And we need about 14 for 2050. So we have more than enough energy just coming from the sun. I want also to share maybe the history of solar energy, because when I start with solar energy in 2004, when you said that it was possible to do everything with solar energy, everyone was thinking that I was completely stupid. But we have just to see about a little bit about this history. You know that solar energy really started in 1955 in the United States with the Bell Laboratory, who started the first cells. At that time, one cell was about $1,000 for 1 watt. So it's about $10,000 of today for 1 watt peak. Today we are about 10 cents, 100 times cheaper. It's crazy. It's really crazy. When I start in this business of solar energy in 2004, we were putting in the world less than 1 gigawatt of new solar energy cells. This year, it will be about 600 gigawatts. Can you imagine? 1,000 times more. This year, we will put what it will take, about 1,000 years in 2004. Everything is changing, and this is the good news, and I want to share this with you. And also about the cost now. This is the history about the cost of energies. You can see that all the energy that they are not renewable energies, at the beginning, it's really, really cheap. When we start with the, with the oil, it was really easy to take it. It was almost impossible to do with your hands. So this energy was very cheap. But with the times, this energy, the cost of this energy are increasing. And if you look about renewable energies, it's exactly the other way. Because at the beginning, of course, you need a lot of technology. It's expensive. But with the times, the costs are decreasing. And this means that it's clear that the future is with renewable energies. And this is the good news. And it's why now everything is really increasing with these new energies. And it's why I am really confident that we will be able to change in the next 20 years. Little bit of history about now. I'm sorry, about the first flight of a solar and electric aircraft. This is a Solar One, first time in the history that we were able to fly with solar energy. It was in 1978 in London. And big first, 1981, the team of Paul McCready from California cross the English Channel from almost London to Paris with an electric and solar aircraft without battery. Can you imagine this? Without batteries in 1981. And now my project, my new project, Solar Stratos, the final goal of this project is to try to reach the stratosphere. It's a little bit a dream, the Icarus dream that we want to achieve 4,000 years later, to go to see high, at the highest altitude as possible. In the stratosphere, we will be able to see the curve of the planet, only powered by the sun.
A human dream, powered by solar energy. The edge of space.
On est les premiers à construire un avion solaire biplace capable d'emmener un homme dans la stratosphère. Et lorsque vous êtes premiers, il faut tracer le chemin, il faut ouvrir les portes. Finalement, la difficulté, c'est de réunir tous ces besoins pour réussir un tel projet. Des besoins techniques, financiers, humains. And now we'll explain why the best way to go high it is with solar energy and with an electric aircraft. Anyone has an idea why really the Icarus was right? Why, if you want to go high, you need a solar and electric aircraft? No. If you want to go very high with a normal aircraft that is using fuel, you need, of course, fuel, but you need also oxygen. So when you climb with this aircraft with a normal engine, you will lose efficiency. You have about 50% less of oxygen every 5,000 meters. So you lose about 50% of the power of your engine. So more you climb with an aircraft that is using fuel, less power you get from your engine. But if you go with a solar aircraft, you have two things that is getting better. First of all, you are with an electric engine. So if you have an electric engine, you don't need oxygen, you keep the same efficiency. And this is very good even for a car. Huh? If you go with your car with a normal engine to Verbi as an example, it's a ski station in Switzerland, your engine will be much lower in terms of efficiency than if you go with an electric car. So it's the same for the solar and electric aircraft. And you have two big advantages. The first one, more you climb, and more sun you get, more energy you get from the sun. At the sea level, you have about 1,000 watts per meter, but in the stratosphere, you have 1,260 watts, 35% more. And as you probably all know, if the temperature is increasing, then the efficiency of the solar modules are increasing. You have about 3% more energy coming from the solar cells every 10 degrees. So more you climb with a normal aircraft, less power you get. More you climb with an electric and solar aircraft, more power you get from solar energy and from your engine. So Icar was right. What we want to do, it's a big challenge, an adventure, and we don't know if we will be able to do it. This is an adventure. And this is what I like, is to try to do something that nobody has even tried before. But for this, you need to have this pioneer spirit. And to be a pioneer, because when you start, you never know if you will be a pioneer of the success or a pioneer of the failure. So for this, you need what? What do you need? Luck. Confidence.
Courage.
Courage. Yes. I think you need something else. If you really want to be ambitious, you need to accept that maybe you will not be able to go to the success. Because otherwise, you do just something that you are sure that you can achieve. And this is not ambitious. This is not pioneer spirit. This is not adventure. This is, okay, I can do this. I will do it. Okay, nice. But you need to accept that maybe it will be a failure and not a success. If you are ready to do this, you can do and you can try to achieve everything. Never forget this. So we have a big challenge. As an example, just to share this with you, when we started this project in 2015, we found one big company, the first one, who can make us a space suit. It's Zvezda, they're coming from Moscow. You can imagine that today for us, it's a challenge to work with them. They are really nice, and we're still working together, but it's making our life, what's happened in Ukraine, much more difficult. This is a challenge, this is adventure. But also this is a team. We are a really nice team, and all my team, we work together. Our goal is to go to the stratosphere with a solar aircraft. Up to now, the maximum altitude that we did, it was 15,000 feet, so about 5,000 meters. This summer, we will try from Sion in Valais, not so far away from where we are, to go to 35,000 feet. If we can do it, we will be already the highest ever electric and solar aircraft. It will be a big step. But the stratosphere is a final goal. Our project, it's communication. I want to be honest with you. This is a platform of communication, nothing more. So the final goal is the stratosphere, but it's a two-seater. It's the first ever solar aircraft can bring and can fly with the passengers. So we have some good idea before. As you can see, probably a jump from our aircraft, and we were the first ever to jump from an electric aircraft and from solar aircraft, but also we did with Geraldine Fasnacht. We can say the Lady Bird, you know, because she loves to fly with a wingsuit, and we did a big adventure with her. She jumped from my aircraft in the Verbier, and it was the first time that a lady jumped from an electric aircraft, and the first time ever that someone fly with a wingsuit from an electric and solar aircraft. So the goal of Solar Stratos, of my adventure, is really to spread the message to everyone. But it's also to spread the message to the politicians, to show the way that I think it's important if we want to decarbonize our planet, And one of our big support is the Prince Albert of Monaco, who did a big first with me. He was really courageous. He was the first head of state to fly in an electric aircraft. That was from Nice. We went to Monaco with one engine. We were ready to go to the water, and he was really courageous. At the end, everyone was in a big stress, you know. His minister said, Raphael, if you don't come back with him, don't come back. It's okay. If I have to cross to Africa, it's a long way. But it was really courageous. It's a big step also to see that now it's possible to fly in an electric aircraft with a head of state.
Ah, c'est très naturel, hein? Ouais. Allez, super.
I think that today we have a big challenge. The climate change is really probably the biggest challenge ever for mankind. So we can start to see, okay, it's difficult, how we will be able to manage, or we can start to say, look, this is a huge chance to change. I mean, for me, this is how I see this change. But there is now some people, politicians, that they are telling us that we have to stop everything, and then tomorrow we can do nothing. Can you imagine to be today a young boys or a young girls? If you start to say to this generation that tomorrow they will have to change everything, and tomorrow they cannot take a plane, they cannot go to do a ski, they cannot do nothing, do you think that they will change? Do you think that they will go into this change? No chance. So what we try to do with Solar Stratos, we try to say to this young generation that tomorrow, okay, we have to change. We have to leave fossil fuel. Otherwise, it will be just the end of mankind. But that tomorrow it will be much better than today. It will be possible to fly, to do ski, but without burning fuel, and without greenhouse gas, and without noise. I am sure that the world of tomorrow can be much better than what we have today. And this is a big chance, and we need now to have this pioneer spirit. We don't know if we will be able to do it, but we have to accept to try. It's why I will not close my speech with thank you, but with please, please, and good luck.
Thank you, Raphael, for this kind of really, you can say, dreaming speech. And let's say, hopefully this dream is become reality. And let's say you have always looked to the future, a big ambition. I think we will speak later about it, thank you for it. I just explained before, we have two additional panelists. It will be Kristen Fischer and Mathieu Leon, and a short introduction to the people. It is working. Okay.
They want to fly.
Okay. Then I do it, yeah. First speaker is Kristen Fischer. It's good? No? 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 Now? So I do. No solar electricity. Okay, I do it this way. I try it. First speaker, it is Christian Fischer, founder, co-founder, CEO of Becom, a special material size really company, even the building, let's say material, not to the edge, but for the future. I think it's even based here in Fribourg. Say, had an interesting journey, to go, what would be, in your car, in a plane, new, let's say material. It is less weight, but even, let's say, with the same characteristic. And the second panelist is Massimo Fiori. He's managing director Aeroport, and it's really even, let's say, in relation to aerospace. And you have to know this part of Aeroport is only 20 minutes from here. So say building a center in relation to, we can say, aerospace science. Okay, Massimo and Christian built in. Now we have to see how we can do it. And Raphael, please. Yes. Now it will be your challenge, so I have to be loud.
Okay.
I think a first question is probably first to, let's say, to Christian, how do you, let's say, contribute, if you come, can you explain to us the topics about your company, how you contribute a little bit to the future, for business and even to society, this is part of.
Sure. So we have our purpose statement is to decarbonize the world with our performance bio-based materials. So we take the flax fiber, you all know from the linen textile industry, and we turn it into a performance product. The carbon composite, we just built the airplane. A lot of it is used in that. You also know it maybe from a tennis racket or from bike frame. So we use the same approach. We combine the flax fibers as a structural reinforcement, and we combine it with plastics. They can be bio-based. Today, most of them are petrol-based, fortunately. We combine them, and the applications are either in the recreational industry, so typically K2, the ski brand is a customer of ours, but also in performance applications like the motorsports, supercars, Porsche Motorsports or BMW M4 GT4 is a customer of ours. And we're now going to the automotive industry since half a year. If some of you, if you have ordered the new Volvo EX30, our material is also featured in the interior of that car. And as I said, it's about decarbonization. About a third of the CO2 emissions actually come from things that we make, not from transport or other emissions, but really, clothing, houses, all of that. So it's very important also to address that part and see how we can switch from the linear economy we've been celebrating now for ages to something circular. In our example, it's plant-based. So we really look at plant-based circular economy. So I always say there are two dimensions in terms of making contribution. Number one is in our own space. So in the composites industry, we have, I think, proven now that there is an alternative to the fossil-based applications and the products we see there. We can't replace all of them, right? It's like, let's be honest, the carbon fiber composites is a beautiful material, and we'll be using that for many more years. But there are a lot of applications which we can address with plant-based materials like ours. So that is one dimension, and the second dimension, I think, is always to inspire other people also to go the same path and separate themselves from from this linear economy we've been celebrating. And I mean, Raphael is, I think, all about also inspiring people to go to change and adopt the pioneering spirit and go for new solutions.
Cool, thank you. Massimo, you know, what you're doing, let's say, at Aeropol, you know, what is this main, you can say, philosophy to contribute to the future for business and society?
So Swiss Aeropol is the home of aerospace pioneers. So we have Solar Stratos with Raphael. We are lucky to be their home base. That's where they do the test flights. A few years before, there was also Solar Impulse with Bertrand Piccard and André Borschberg that carried out all the test flights at our location before going around the world with a series of flights that you surely all heard about. So we are an area that is relatively large and has access to one of the longest runways in Switzerland. And we still have also quite large-scale greenfield opportunities where we can welcome, in particular, innovative companies in aerospace. So we aim to be one of the places where this conversation can take place between innovators, entrepreneurs, investors, about how to decarbonate aviation and make air transport more sustainable in the future. So we also have other companies innovating, for example, in the area of hydrogen, so how to store and use hydrogen on an aircraft, which has the potential also to enable a higher range and higher energy applications. I think when you go back at human history, mobility and the willingness to travel, the desire to travel and explore has been one of the very key human needs since the beginning. And of course, aviation has taken this to a very different level, you know, by making a lot of people able to travel long distances and go to the other end of the world in a day. But of course, this comes with challenges today, because as Raphael was mentioning before, we cannot tell the young generation to not do anything anymore. So of course, we should think critically about our needs, our desires, and also what's their impact in terms of the ecologies and the wider society. And of course, technology can play a decisive role there. And so we are a relatively recent project, relatively recent technology park. We don't really have legacy businesses that will obviously fight to retain, you know, what they have built or their jobs and so on. And of course, some of those businesses based on fossil fuels and old technologies, they will have to adapt. And for us, it's a relatively clean sheet. We have 40 companies today collaborating with sustainability as really one of the main topics that they collectively try to address and really bring solutions for the world of tomorrow.
Thank you, cool. I have a question, you know, to you, Raphael. This, we can say this future dream, you know. How do you convince people to come with you? What is your, let's say, way to convince people to come with you and have the same dream in the future?
I think that we are all adults today, but we still have, all of us, this spirit of a young boys, you know, a young girl. So for me, my job is to, it was what I did with Massimo, to say, look, this is an amazing adventure. I don't know if we will be able to go to the success, but this is an amazing adventure. We try to do something that is good for our planet. It's spreading a message, dream to the young generation. And please come with us and we can do this adventure together. And I think it's satire to do. It's to wake up this spirit of young bunch that we have, all of us, we still have. I hope so. This is my goal. When some people say, Raphael, you are so stupid, you are still like a boy. So I say, yes, thank you so much. And I think it's what I try to do. And then if they still have this spirit, I think they are coming.
Thank you. I think this evening we have a lot of young people, even in this kind of dream, or if sometimes in Switzerland, we had just before mentioned from Gerhard about ambition. You know, I think it's important that we have ambition. This is that we are really going for the big steps, you know. And that's now my question to you, Christian. How do you try to do it? This kind of big dream thinking inside your company.
It's a very good question. It's not easy as we grow. We grow in the last 3 years from 12, 15 people to 80. So it's clear that as long as you're 12, you can find these, you know, pioneer / entrepreneur minded people. really share your passion and your vision. Then as you grow, of course, you need very specific functions, very highly specialized people. Some of them, you come from larger companies, but I think it all comes back to making them, sharing this dream and making them see, helping them to see where we're going and the why, right? It always starts with the why. I think some of it, back to your question, how do I personally, some of it is intrinsic, I think. There's just some people who like, and they always say courage and being very naive is very close to each other. So I'm not sure if I'm more courageous or more naive to actually go for these things. But I think this uncertainty also is which Raphael also mentioned before, not knowing whether it's actually going to work out. I think it's scary, but it's also very motivating and very interesting to go that path where no one has ever been before.
Yeah, and to accept it, and hopefully to go through, Massimo, I think it's you mentioned just before an important part, of let's say Raphael's philosophy, and Massimo, he went back, about mobility. I think all we love mobility, we cannot cancel it. And I think that's even a good why. But clearly you have to convince, let's say, a lot of stakeholders. You heard before from Raphael convincing hopefully governments, policymakers, but even I assume even big companies. How do you see in your now situation to deal with big companies about these big dreams?
Of course, most big companies have been there for a while, right? So they are not really within this innovation community that is really trying to transform the game. And maybe they bring more incremental solutions, which is also very good. So if you look at an aircraft today, it looks much the same as one 50 years ago, but it's probably about twice as efficient in the way it burns fuel, in terms of kilometers, useful kilometers flown. So for us, it's also about creating an environment that fosters collaboration around some big ideas. And of course, we have some larger companies in our location, but also many smaller ones. And so there it's key to provide a playing field that is equitable, that is fair, and that we also try to paint these visions and show how every company, even if it's a startup or even if they haven't yet reached certain milestones, or if they're also looking for investment on the side, but they always can have a role to play. And this attitude is what we see in most of the industry. And I think we have to go from young people who sometimes today experience guilt and frustration, going into aerospace, for example, because although it faces the same challenges as any other industry, which is also having to decrease its environmental footprint, like construction, like agriculture, and other forms of transport, but aviation is quite easy to pinpoint, right? To say, okay, that's a problem. Well, that's an answer that we can also all bring in terms of when do I really need to fly and how do I need to fly, but the basic need and the impact that flying can have on the world, for me, the potential is hugely positive. Also because if we stop talking to each other, then I think the geopolitical situation will eventually deteriorate even more. And so being able to still travel the world, experience other culture, ideally from a relatively early age, to be open-minded, to share certain values and be aware about those we don't share. I think these are things where air transport has contributed and can contribute more. Of course, I don't want to minimize the challenges we're facing in the world today on many different levels, but I think that's the positive role, and also showing the younger generation that they can enable this to continue, but with a much better environmental footprint and something which is truly sustainable.
Question, but I cannot offer a mic.
I can project.
Yeah, sure.
So thank you so much. I'm really inspired, so I can do my part. I'm Dr. Kemo Keke. I'm a physician by trade, but transition to entrepreneurship and sort of stay in health IT space and promote diabetes care. I'm also a faculty affiliate with Harvard Medical School, trying to understand how to introduce healthcare finance in a sustainable way, the way we deliver care in America. So my question for you is, given all you've known, I do see that you've had some collaboration with Russia, for example. What do you think is the biggest threat? If you have other countries who are just as powerful, who are still promoting alternative energy sources because it's profitable, how do you see the young generation and us now sort of working together to understand this language for a while? And when do you find you have to pivot?
I think that the key is probably the way we are making ourselves less reliant on fossil fuels. Because of course, some will want to continue selling them for a long time. And all this innovation that is happening, and again, it's not just aerospace, it's every possible industry you can think of, that's going to contribute to innovative societies becoming less reliant on fossil fuels. And I also like very much the graph that Raphael showed in one of his first slides, where you can see the potential that each renewable energy source has to replace these fossil sources. And for me, this was an eye-opener the first time I've seen it a couple of years ago, because I think many people don't realize that the potential is so high. You know, we get stuck on, you know, should we put solar panels on every private roof, or should the public sector be more of an example by developing solar roofs not only on buildings but also on larger areas and so on. I think these are almost details once everyone becomes aware, you know, that the solution is actually there. And of course, it's not easy. Of course, it depends on which part of the world you produce this solar energy and so on and so forth, which is not very easy to then transport over long distances and so on. But I think that that's really the key. It's that this transition that is already underway and that actually has accelerated beyond many people's wildest dreams. If we look at the cost of solar power or the surface that is being equipped now after a slow start, yes, I think that's really what will bring a solution to the economies that embrace this innovation and that make it and continue making it a priority, to become less reliant on things that will be soon part of the past.
Next question, yeah.
Hi, hello, thank you so much. My name is Analia Bazán. 2 years ago, I was in the cabinet of the Ministry of Transport of Argentina. I was in charge of the sustainable transition modes and the different transportation modes. And so I'm quite excited for what you shared with us today. And I would like to ask you if you are doing some kind of connections with the International Aviation Organization of the United Nations, or what kind of connections with that international level are you doing to increase the visibility of your pioneering initiative? This is my first time that I've heard about this. So, and since I was working on this, I would like to increase this effort and help you, at least from South America, to have more visibility of this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I would say generally we engage in international, you know, conversations and collaborations to support our promotional effort. Because at the end of the day, our goal as Swiss Aeroport is to develop this cluster in a way that generates employment opportunities for people in the region and contributes to economic development. So it's an economic promotion exercise. But of course, to achieve this, we need to be very well connected also with international partners and so on. So maybe from a Latin American perspective, I would be very happy to talk about it during the break, because I have to say we are not really active there, but I would love to hear a perspective. And otherwise, for us, it's about being aware of the trends, contributing to the conversation as well about innovation and about the future of aviation. And then, of course, making sure that companies that may have an interest in setting up a business at Swiss Aeroport in Payerne are aware of that. And when the time comes, they can also discuss that with us. Thanks.
Good morning. Bonjour. My name is Betty Hines, and I work with women entrepreneurs, but I come out of corporate America. I've been hearing a lot of conversation about mind shift, and I've been hearing about impact. But what I'm not hearing, and we're here at a university and academia, I don't see, particularly when I work with entrepreneurs, that those lessons have started in elementary school in middle school, I don't know what levels you have here. I feel strongly there needs to be a parallel track, that we cannot wait until they're adults like me or the ones that are in the room. How do you run a parallel track where the youth understand the impact of the economy and how they can make an impact and be significant? Because we can't wait till we are where we are now and be enlightened. How do we do that parallel track?
You want to answer this?
Yeah.
Okay. No, you go ahead.
No, go first.
No, I don't want to talk.
It's more for you.
No, she wanted to go, but
Christian.
I think it's a very challenging one. I mean, first things first, I think it's about education, right? So for these things in terms of really, we talk about values at the end of the day, right? When it comes to values, I trust more in myself, in forwarding and sharing the right values with my children than I would expect the school to have to do that. So I think number one is education, but really it starts at home. I'm not sure if because then they become vectors within their generations of this awareness that we cannot continue like we've done so far, and trying to give them the perspective of what actually needs to where we need to go rather than where we come from, because that's eventually what they need to contribute to. Then in terms of school, clearly where we have a lack also in Switzerland, I'm not aware of where you come from, but clearly in Switzerland, we need to go and have more of entrepreneurial and pioneering spirit being implemented at an early age. And that's clearly what is lacking here too. So we see first organizations where people really go and talk the entrepreneurial pitch to youngsters, but it's not systematic, right? It's not compulsory. So of course most of the kids don't attend. So I guess it should probably come from authorities and really also starting to massage these elements into the scholar system. I'm fully with you, but it's kind of a half answer. I'm not happy with myself.
I'll continue the half answer because Christina looked at me. She said, "Give me the mic." Christina.
So just, I'm a founder of Top Daycares. We treat kids from 4 months to school entrance and the primary school as well. And I just have to say that we do sustainable education program. We've created it. And where I would tend to slightly disagree was the fact that, unfortunately, not all the parents today, my generation and older one, are aware and have those values to transmit. You may be in this area already, but a lot of people are not at all, and they do not have those values. And I see the backflip trend actually when we teach kids and we start like self-service at canteen with 18 months year old, recycling as of 2 years old, and then they go back to the families and to their parents and they teach them and they say, no, don't put this plastic into the trash bin. I'm not happy about it because I've been told it's not good. I want to change this planet. Unfortunately, I've said it yesterday, but I'm going to repeat myself. I don't think we can save the planet for them. It's the kids who can save us and the planet. And this is the key. And unfortunately, Switzerland and a lot of European countries still do not get it and still don't understand. And keep on, instead of a kind of motivating private sector to do business in the education and promote it, we are getting in the place where we're just stopped from doing this.
Okay. What Rico was going to say that Christina is an alumni of HEC.
Well trained.
Right, and so with that, and we hand over to me from Rico. And so you went to space, which our award is called Global. So I was thinking about changing the name of our awards to Outer Space Excellence Award. Right? So we have two, right? Because every time you think you're at the edge, somebody else tells you, no, you're just starting. So I'm going to ask Kishan Kim to come up here. We would like to give Mr. Fisher the first.
I know it's. Which one?
Awesome.
see, sure. It's Christian. Yes.
It is.
It's Christian on the left.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna open it again. All right. So. The first Global Outer Space Excellence Award. Congratulations.
Thank you much. Thank you. Thank you so much.
And next time when you go with Prince or royalty on the plane, I would like to give you my phone number in case somebody doesn't show up. You can call me and I'll just. Okay. And Rafael and Massimo, Corinne, if you can please. You hold it.
Okay.
Thank you. I just want to say something because your name is Christina. I am sorry to say, I think you are wrong. We don't have to save our planet. Our planet will continue without us. We have to save us. And if we start in 20 years, because if you say that it's the young generation that they have to do it, in 20 years it will be too late. So we have to do, not the young generation.
No, but the children influence.
Yeah, but we have to do, okay, we have to do now.
Okay, it's a coffee break, will save us. So restart at 11 in the session.